Good morning, good morning. It is the week of 15 December 2024. And this week I will be discussing some of the 48 laws of power, the 5 ones that I have found most impactful in my own life. So, those 5 laws are 1, the power of silence, 2, the mirror effect, 3, becoming indispensable, 4, not associating with the unlucky and unhappy, and 5 is never burning bridges. Let's start with the first one, the power of silence. Start with an exercise. What comes across as more powerful and in control? Hey, my name is Sam McGregor, and I really like doing videos and posting on Twitter and memes. Versus, hi, my name is Sam McGregor. I really enjoy posting on videos, working with people on Twitter, and studying social skills. Obviously, the second one, right? That is the power of silence. Some of the things that it does for you. 1, it allows you to control the tempo. The person who controls the tempo is the one who has control of the emotional reality of any situation. There's a story that Robert Greene talks about with Louis XIV, one of the greatest kings of France, where he would sit in silence and let his courtesans, his advisors, debate out various ideas, strategies, plans, but he would sit there in silence and simply look at them. At the very end, he would look at them and say, "We shall see." And he would get up in silence and leave. That is controlling the tempo. Everything revolved around him and his schedule, not the courtesans. In doing so, he controlled the entire emotional reality of his court. The person who can do that will win over crowds. And a lot of that is done through presenting an image of calm. The person who is calm in times of stress is the person people look up to. And that's powerful. How can you, the average man, use this? Take 3 seconds to respond to anything. If someone asks you a question, here's what I think about that. That calm demeanor will come across and put a lot of nervousness at ease. And now people will listen to you. That's powerful. Second one, the mirror effect. You call this tit for tat. I will do exactly what you do to me. No more, no less. The idea here is to force others to see the reality of their actions. If they don't feel good about it, they will subconsciously realize, I'm doing that to him. I don't feel good about that, so he probably doesn't feel good about me doing it, so I need to change. The idea here is to very closely match what someone else is doing so that they can change their ways. A very good example of this was when Trump was getting elected, there was a whole kerfluffle about the process of electing Supreme Court justices. Earlier, Senator Harry Reid of Nevada, I remember this because this is when I was getting involved in politics a little bit. Earlier, Senator Harry Reid had removed, I think it was the filibuster, as part of Senate proceedings. He was trying to get some small bill passed. So what Mitch McConnell did is he delayed the appointment of a new justice in order to get one appointed after the election. And it was like a 9-month delay. It was something ridiculous, but it was tit for tat. Okay, you remove my ability to use power to force a compromise bill with you, Senator Reid. I will do exactly the same. He matched it. And the amount of outcry that happened was ridiculous, but there was no standing for it. Because everyone could point out, it's like, y'all are the ones who did this. You brought this on yourselves. You made your bed, now you get to lay in it. What is this used for? This is very, very useful for breaking passive aggression. It is to exactly match the level of pettiness that someone else has. And if it doesn't work, you escalate it up a level. You keep going until they finally get it. They finally get the idea that, oh, I'm acting this way and I need to change. Why does this work? Usually the person who initiates is not in control. The person who you're using the mirror effect on is usually not in control. In most cases, it's out of ignorance, not malice, that they're doing this. And having that reflected back at them can be very, very helpful to them. Good example of this is if someone is always making sarcastic digs at you, there's 2 ways you can handle it. You can directly call it out through saying, I really don't appreciate you making these sarcastic digs. Well, that will either force them to change, or they're just going to ignore it and say, I'm not doing that. If they choose that second option of, I'm not doing that, I don't know what you're talking about, then you can start using the escalation ladder. Okay, you want to make sarcastic digs at me? I'm going to play your own game and beat you at it. And I'm going to do so in a way that everybody else finds funny. You're going to feel a little bit of social isolation. That should force you to change. And eventually something's going to break. Either they change or they get kicked out of the group. That is what it's useful there. Why does this give you power? Because you retain control the entire time. You decide how far it goes. They don't. And in doing that, that brings control back to you, which gives you power. Third law, becoming indispensable. If you are indispensable, people will find it to be more painful to lose you than to put up with you. Classic example of this is in the Dune universe. It is only the Spacing Guild that has access to fast and light travel. Everything else revolves around keeping the guild happy. So they get to make whatever demands they want, and that's an incredibly powerful position to be in. I found that there's 3 ways to do this. The first way is to own something. If you own a truck, you can help people move, and people will want to keep you happy. You get a lot of free lunches doing that. If you own a house, people will want to come and host events at your house. You get to set conditions on that. The second one is doing something. Classic example in business is if you are the only guy that can do something, you are in the position to name your price. Incredibly potent, right? This is why I take Joshua Lysick, for instance. He can demand whatever price he wants because he is the only person that is both a hypnotist and a ghostwriter. And that's why he's written multiple New York Times bestsellers. His work stands for itself. And the third one is to know something. For instance, I am very, very good at understanding and approaching the book of Leviticus. In Christian circles, that is a book a lot of people don't enjoy reading. But because I know how to approach it, I get asked a lot and get a lot of credibility because I know how to approach it. If people have questions about the book of Leviticus, they come to me. And while that may seem a little cold, a little bit calculating, it is the reality. Power itself is not inherently bad, it's how you use it. It is what your end goal with the power is. And the noble use of power is to promote the well-being of those you have power over, to bring them closer to the Father. All right, 4th law, do not associate with the unhappy and unlucky. I believe it is in the epistle of 1 John, where the Apostle John talks about bitterness defiles many. This is why you do not associate with the unhappy and the unlucky, because they are bitter. Their bitterness spreads at light speed. A lot of this comes down to the idea of, are they a high agency person or are they a low agency person? Do they think that they are more influenced by the world around them, or that they have more influence on the world around them? Those who are high agency think, I have the power within me to make changes. Those who are low agency, you could also call it the victim mindset, think that they do not have the power to make changes. A lot of this comes down to the very choices we make. Yeah, I could sit there and mope around and choose to feel bitter, or I can choose to say, I am going to make a change about this. I may not be able to change the situation, but I can change how I feel about the situation and how I approach the situation. It is usually not advisable to hang out with those who say, I can't change this, and so I am going to feel bitter about it. Old common sense saying is that bad company corrupts good morals. Same principle here. All right, 5th law, never burn bridges. If it is at all advisable, at all, preserve relationships. All of power is based on the idea of trust, and that trust is, this guy is going to help me accomplish my goals. Burning bridges is the exact opposite of that. One of the things that helped me understand this is that people do in fact change, that emotions are very fickle and they change from day to day. So a rejection you get today may not be a rejection tomorrow. So It is always advisable to approach things with, you may not understand this today, but I'm not going to burn the bridge. I'm going to keep working. Another part of this is that while emotions are fickle, memory is not. People have very, very long memories. And most of that memory is, he made me feel this way. So if you help them and they saw how it helped them, they will remember that. If you harmed them and it actually harmed them, they will remember that. On top of that, you will never know what you need in the future. They may end up developing a skill that you need, or maybe they know people that you want to meet. Everyone has value. It's a matter of the context around that. And that is why you never burn bridges.